Hello and welcome to What's Next. I'm your host, Matt Brading, and this week it's Film Week. Later on in the show, I'm talking to Shaun from HM Revenue and Customs, and we'll be doing a tech review about AR drones. But first, here's Zoe and Josh to do the reviews.
First off, we're going to take you through some of the new releases most worth watching, starting at the top with Looper, the sci-fi action thriller starring Bruce Willis and Joseph Gordon-Levitt. The film has a complex time travel-based story in which you have to keep up with at all times, but if you can stick with it, it's a massively entertaining film. For those of you who prefer something more down to earth and don't mind foreign films, Untouchable is a heartwarming story about a quadriplegic French aristocrat, Philippe, played by Francis Clouseau, who hires a young man from the projects, Driss Omar Sy, to be his carer. Two opposites are brought together and you can watch how they interact and work together to produce some truly amazing chemistry.
For all those cinema goers out there, we are going to have a quick click through a few of the biggest releases in order of awesomeness. Hitchcock, a biopic showing the journey of that famous director Alfred Hitchcock, took on his road to making one of the most influential and prolific horror films of all time, Psycho. It was released on the 8th of February.
Good Day to Die Hard, the latest installment in the Die Hard franchise. This time we see John McClane going on his usual rampage, but this time in Russia, teaming up with his son. Die Hard 5 is released tomorrow. A good film to take on a date?
Well, finally, we have Warm Bodies, a comedy romance with zombies. It really puts a new twist on the whole zombie genre, showing the film from the point of view of a zombie. The cast is assembled of Skins and first-class star Nicholas Hoult, and I Am Number 4's Teresa Palmer, in a modern retelling of Romeo and Juliet. Warm Bodies is out now.
Skyfall, the latest James Bond film and highest-grossing British film ever, is released on DVD on the 18th of February. The second highest-grossing film of 2012, being only 400 million behind The Avengers.
Well, that concludes our film releases for this week, but now we are going to take a look at some of the news topics.
Okay, so we are now going to do the news. Hi guys.
Hello.
Right, let's get started. Okay, so the first bit of news is about Les Mis, which came out recently, being nominated for Best Picture and Outstanding Film at the Oscars, I'm guessing.
Right.
Yeah. What do you guys think of that?
It was an interesting film.
Yeah, I'm a bit bored of it, really.
Yeah.
But I suppose it's good. It's an audience film, really, isn't it?
Yeah. It's one of those where, like, I saw it, and as a film student, I could criticise it quite heavily, because like everyone seems to be raving about it, and it's one of those things where the more people say how amazing it is, the more I'm like,
yeah.
No,
I thought it was a good film, but you know, the beginning was a bit slow, and then the ending was quite, you know, like the rest of it was all right.
Well, it's a big book.
Yeah,
It's
and
a
I
long
think
play.
it's been adapted for the play, for the stage, and so many people on the stage and love it from the actual stage show itself. And to see it on screen, I think people are going to criticise it much more than they would say if a book was being turned into a film, even though it is a book.
Well, I think, like for me, one of the one of the boring things is that the cinematography is pretty rubbish, because they do the whole thing as if it was an action film, like on a shaky cam.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's not been nominated for Best Cinematography, so we're fine. Other Best Pictures include Life of Pi, Lincoln, Argo, Zero Dark 30, and none of them are British, which is a bit sad. But seeing as Argo just won the BAFTAs, it might be a good shot if anyone's doing Oscar bets to go for that one.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay, right. Your turn. Try and get this to you. Oh,
so
close.
nearly got it. Okay. Right. Skyfall begins to be noticed for its technical
prowess.
Prowess. Okay.
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised how well it did it at the BAFTAs. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah.
I'm not a massive James Bond fan, but I can appreciate the film. I was surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, it was up against a lot of strong ones.
Yeah, it's always strong towards the end, and like the BAFTAs and Oscars really aren't James Bond traditional territory. So it said something about the film itself that it's even managed to step into that rather than just being pure entertainment stuff. You know, but I think you know, I enjoyed it as a James Bond fan. So that's
All right.
cool. Right, Josh, you ready? Try and get this to you. Oh. We need to practice.
That was a
doing
fly. While the Oscars may be more famous and more prestigious than the BAFTAs award, we are here to remember that we are British and we should take notice.
Of the BAFTAs,
The
I
BAFTAs,
guess.
Should we really?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
I do. I like
think,
them.
like, usually the BAFTAs is a good thing where homegrown films get represented well. Because, you know, the Oscars is always going to be a bit run across with American things.
it's just I think British people make films more relatable to British people, obviously.
Yeah.
And, you know, Britain's such a small island compared to a huge country,
Exactly,
so
yeah.
I think more people are going to relate to American films. I mean, I relate more to American films
Yeah.
just because I like that. I mean, I do like British films, but I think, you know, maybe we don't make enough.
Yeah.
And
I think that's like, it'd be really nice at the BAFTAs if they had more of a focus on British films. Because I know they do films from all across the world to make it fair, which is why Argo won
Yeah.
this year, which
Yeah.
is obviously an American film. But it'd be nice for it to represent our industry a bit more in order to differentiate itself as well, rather than just being
Instead of being like a
smaller
warm-up
Oscars.
act,
Yeah,
almost for the
exactly.
Oscars. Yeah.
And you have to still remember that a lot of, even if they're American films, there might be British cast, there might be British makeup artists,
Yeah.
directors, producers, whatever. So it's still, you know,
It's a bit like with Les Mis, it's sort of considered American.
Tom Hooper,
even
yeah.
and
though
like Harry
it was
Potter.
filmed,
Yeah.
yeah,
that's
filmed in
technically
England,
an
English
American
cast.
film
Yeah.
because it's produced by an American company. But still, you know, we should be proud of it because it was made in Britain,
Yeah.
British cast.
Written
which
by,
everyone-
created by us, yeah.
Okay, that's cool. And you guys got any bets for the Oscars this year?
Argo, all the
Yeah.
way, I think,
Argo?
now.
I'm sure Les Mis will win a couple.
Yeah, Anne Hathaway's a good shout for Best
Yeah.
Supporting Actress, just because everyone seems to
She
love
was
her
only in
in
it
that
for 10
role.
minutes.
Is that right?
It's about that.
That's what supporting means, then, isn't it? she turned up and she did well.
Turned
Exactly,
up,
yeah.
died,
Turned up, looked pretty.
left. Well,
Well, pretty
Well.
for the beginning there.
some of it
Then cut off all her hair and sold a couple of her teeth. And
Yeah.
died.
Okay, that's cool. I think that's all we've got time for on this week's news section. So we will now go on to the tech review with Josh Harris.
unmanned drones are best known for their ability to hunt down suspected terrorists abroad, but they might have an entirely different use, movie making. A drone is a flying camera which can shoot indoors and outdoors and can get very close to the subject. Howard Gantman, a spokesperson for the Motion Picture Association of America, explained that putting a camera on an unmanned aircraft can be cheaper, safer, and more useful than relying on a helicopter or a crane to get a difficult shot. Although businesses are currently barred from operating drones, police departments around the country have already begun exploring the technology, which can be a cost-effective way to gain a bird's-eye view of a scene. Inside the United States, drone videography is possibly using commercially available UAVs that cost under $1,000. Whilst the quality of videos drones produce isn't suitable for movies or television, they're more than good enough for YouTube or sharing on social media. Obviously, as time goes on, it is hoped that there will be investments into this technology to improve the quality. And who knows, maybe drones might take over cameramen in the near future. Film budgets can then be cut when using drones, as there would be little reason to employ a team of 60 people to shoot a 30-second spot. Now, we go back to Matt with the interview for today's guest, Shaun Gloyne.
I'm now joined in the studio by Shaun Gloyne from HMRC. Hi, Shaun.
Hi, Matt.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about what it is that you do?
Yeah, I've got two roles within the department. My main job is on the education, design and development team, whereby we create online presentations, e-learning packages, YouTube clips, things like that. And then the second job that I've got is as a radio broadcaster. So when the department issue press releases and radio stations want somebody to talk about that release, then I'm part of the team that will go out and do that.
Okay, that's interesting. And so that it's the combination of those two roles that sort of led you to lecturing, sort of guest lecturing at Staff's Uni.
Yeah, it did. Before I became part of the design team, I was a part of the education support team and was one of the founding 12 people of that back in 1999. And we did workshops, large audience presentations, one-to-ones, and then we started working with intermediaries like the universities. And I first came to Staffs University during the Enterprise Fest weeks that were then run, and was then invited in by Fiona to do a couple of presentations to the film and media students about going into business, the difference between being employed or self-employed.
Yeah. Okay. And so last week, well, on the last show, not last week, we were talking about the approaches in terms of how you talk to clients and stuff about setting up your own business. But what is it's the more legal side. What are the options when you decide that you want to go out into the world of business?
There's really three options. One is to go as a sole trader. The second would be as a partnership. Third would be forming your own limited company whereby you become an employee. And I suppose the fourth option would be that you become an employee, say you're working for ITV, BBC as a paid employee.
Sure.
So those are the options that they have, and it depends on the role that they're going out into the industry, because certain roles you're automatically deemed to be an employee, where others you can be freelance.
Yeah.
And it's making sure you've got the right avenue available to you.
Yeah.
Becoming self-employed is quite an easy process. It's registering with HMRC, so we can set up a record for you, we can send a tax return out, but it then releases or opens up the free help and support that HMRC do to help people to get it right first time.
Sure. Okay. And then you sort of brought up a key difference sort of in terms of how you can set yourself up, in that, you know, you can be employed by another company, but what's a lot more common in film is to be a freelancer, so where you're self-employed but you sort of contract yourself out to businesses and production companies, so you don't have a permanent employer. You are your own employee, you just work for a lot of different companies.
That's right. So that's being a sole trader, or it could be done in a partnership, and you just basically would register with HMRC to say that you are self-employed or in a partnership, and then you've got the responsibility of maintaining your own records. So that's keeping records of the income that you receive, the expenses that you incur, and then at the end of the financial year, you have a tax return that you would have to submit to us, which will then enable you to work out your tax bill, any national insurance that needs to be paid, and then you would pay that over to us.
Okay.
But to help individuals to do that, this is where our education support comes in.
Sure. Okay. And then what's the key difference legally between being self-employed and having your own company? Because even if it's just, sometimes there are people who set up a company and it's still just the one person there. What's the legal difference?
Well, the legal difference is, as a sole trader, you're responsible for all the debts that arise, whereas with a limited company, depending on how the finance is arranged, you're only liable for your shares, which is the limited liability side of things, unless you've taken a loan out where you secure it with your own personal assets, then that would be, put at risk. But generally, it's, you're liable for all the debts as a sole trader or in a partnership, whereas with a limited company, there is limited liability.
Sure. Okay. So you're a bit safer if things go badly.
It can be, and also from trying to get business, trying to get finance from banks and that, some institutes will lend more to a limited company. Some people will only do business with limited companies because of the image that it creates.
Sure.
So that there are, some valid reasons why people will become limited companies as opposed to a sole trader.
Okay. Now this is a really complex subject, so I know we're not going to be able to cover it all in 5 minutes, but where can people go if they want to find out more about how to set themselves up?
The easiest way would be to go to the website www.hmrc.gov.uk. When the homepage appears, in the search put help and support. The first line of that page that pops up, to click on that link, and it will take people to all the support that's available. It can be just a simple email alert. We have an e-learning package about starting your own business, which talks about registration, how to keep your records, what expenses can be claimed, what can't, capital expenditure, which in the film industry would be a wide range, cameras, editing equipment, things like that. We've then got webinars, which are online presentations, whereby you can either watch a pre-recorded one, which are available 24/7, or you can register to take part in a live presentation where you can actually ask the presenter questions by instant messaging. So that is all for free on our website. We have got YouTube clips, which we've got about 45 different videos there, which cover corporation tax, setting up in business, business expenses, capital allowances.
So pretty much everything.
Yeah, so everything is there. It'll give them a taste, and then if they want more in depth, then they can contact us and we'll take it further for them.
Okay, that's great. Thanks very much for joining us.
Pleasure.
I'm afraid that's all we've got time for on this week's show. Next week, it'll be Music Week. But until then, remember you can check us out on what'snextshow.co.uk or go on staffcv.co.uk to see all the latest shows that we're producing. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.